Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello and welcome back.
So, guys, we have a special treat. We want to talk about truly what is a plague upon the land that seems to be growing with leaps and bounds. And it really has to do everything with the toxicity we see all around us. That's why we have to basically release that toxicity in any way we can and rise above. And this gentleman has certainly done that.
Oh my gosh, he sure has. And this is someone that came to us, I'm not sure, maybe almost a year ago. And he just wanted a chart done, but it turns out became much more of a relationship than just a chart. And he's such an inspiration. So we want to introduce Jeff. And hi, Jeff. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes. Hey, guys. Thank you again for allowing me to jump on here with you and just help anybody that can, be helped through this battle. I was a very healthy person and just living my life and, just going through things the way we would. And one day just collapsed out of the blue and really didn't know what was really going on. And comes to find out that I had this cancer inside of me that was growing, and I didn't know anything about it, didn't know what it was, and it pretty much stopped my life at that moment, of course. And they started to work on me and get things going, and basically my life went from just I don't know how to describe it. I mean, cancer just rocks you, so that kind of became my life. It broke me in every possible way and really made me fight for my life for the very first time. And now I am here, unbeknownst to the doctors who are still kind of figuring out how the heck I am here. And now all of a sudden it's become what was a terminal diagnosis and still technically is the greatest gift in my life. So unfortunately now I feel like this is my new calling to help people similar to myself who, and not just has to have cancer, just anything that the body is malfunctioning, because as you said, it's important to get the body to detoxify, get those toxins out, and really, no matter what the malfunction is, start working on the body, giving the body its opportunity to get back. And so really, that's kind of where I'm at now.
So when was it? What year was it when you got the diagnosis?
I got my diagnosis at the end of 2006.
2006. And what did they tell you your life expectancy was back then?
Well, at first they weren't sure, of course. They just knew how bad it was. So they just rushed me into the chemo, as they do. Just, let's do this. And as it failed to fix me, they ended up coming to me and saying that well, you have about 7 to 9 months to live. Tried to use this chemo with you, but your body isn't working. And really, it's only buying you maybe 6 to 9 months. So realistically, and that's when they told me to get my final affairs in order and declared bankruptcy, get my parents to do everything, get ready to pass. So that was in the beginning of 2010. No, I'm sorry, 2009 is when they told me that I had about 7 to 9 months to live.
So you should have been gone from us for like 11 years now, but correct. You're not.
No.
And in actuality, you look like the epitome of health. I mean, this photo we're looking at is about 5 years ago, and you look great.
Thank you. I get a lot of jokes from the people around me, people I get to meet, and even the family and friends that just say, did you find the circle of life? Where is it? How in the heck are you doing this? And how do you still seem to get younger? Appearance-wise, I mean, I even was in Florida last week seeing some friends of mine I haven't seen in a couple of years, and his wife looked at me and says, your body looks like it's getting stronger. Your muscle definition is getting better. How is this happening? I just, the body's an incredible organism.
Yeah, there is an innate healing machine there that can be triggered when we give it the right things. And, you know, when you think about like chemo, for instance, it's so toxic and it does cause other issues later. It's amazing with what you did, because you went through quite a bit of chemo. You had shared with us you were in a chemo chair like a job, 8 hours a day.
It's an unusual experience. It was definitely scary. I never thought I would be standing here talking to you today. The way that battle went. I mean, I wasn't allowed to be in public. I wasn't, I could go to the doctors, and then I go straight home, sit in a bubble. I was not allowed to leave the house. I wasn't allowed to be around people. I literally was told to stay in isolation until I died.
Wow, that's horrible. That's not really what life is supposed to be all about. Now, you had a very rare form of cancer. What was that again?
Correct. It's the rarest form of leukemia, so the blood cancer. It's called hairy cell. It's not the most dangerous, just one of the rarest, and something they don't have a whole lot of options fighting. Well, at that time, they had little to nothing. I think at the time I was diagnosed, there were only 50,000 total cases in the history of the disease, where stuff like breast cancer has 1.5 million diagnoses per year. So they just didn't know anything about me at that time in this disease.
Wow. And so you went through chemo for a very appreciably long period of time, and it didn't work. And they told you, sorry, that's about all we could do, basically.
Correct. They told me that, I've got drug trials. They set me up with doctors from Cancer Centers of America, the National Cancer Institute. They started giving me all these different options of people that are working with experimental drugs. And honestly, I just looked at them and I said, if I've got 7 and 9 months, I'm not going to be a guinea pig. I'm not going to sit in there away from my family and friends, which is already happening, but I'm not going to sit there in misery while you guys just try a bunch of drugs in hopes that one may work for someone. That was a dark moment. It took a lot to take it out of their hands and just, follow a more nutritious path.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's, taking your power back from these people that are very well intended. They definitely want to help. However, they don't have the right answers. So that's where it gets really, really scary, is stepping outside of the box and saying, I can do this a different way, and I can do it a better way. And that's something that you did.
And this is what makes people like you guys so incredible, because you get out there, and although stories like mine have a hard time being told, so people can't see that there's a chance. The more we have folks like yourself getting us out there, the more people like me dealing with a cancer diagnosis or whatever it is can say, you know what, it is possible. There are chances, and even if the doctor's not going to be the presenter of this information, I'm so grateful that you guys are.
Well, it's our pleasure, and we feel it's our purpose. And you're right, because I was just going through, because we have several people we're working with that are fighting this right now, and I'm trying to find inspirational stories, going through the web, and it's like they're getting plucked out. Mm-hmm. They're not as easy to find with people that have done things naturally and defeated it. It does feel like there's a cyber book burning going on so many different levels, because all they want you to see is just the standard way of doing things.
Yeah, and I've got friends around me that get all worried and tell me to be quiet. That Big Pharma's not going to want you talking, and they're going to keep you quiet. They're going to keep this information on the 17th page. They don't want people finding this. I couldn't agree with you more.
So share with us the turning point and how you went about beating this.
Well, I went for a test, a colonoscopy. They were trying to determine what was going on. And I just ran across somebody who reminded me the importance of nutrition. And it sparked something in me, the way he talked. He just said, you know, if you drink water and you focus on food and you start taking your body in a different direction, you can still make it out of this. And I didn't understand what he meant, but simply put, as I started to collapse, I had already started to look into what real nutrition meant, what it meant to, you know, treat your body as a temple and just give yourself life force, give yourself true energy, not just calories, open, empty, nothing calories, but to basically start eliminating the battles your body has to fight. And that way your resources are available for the few fights that you have. And so I really just started reading more and more of the power of eating for your body and drinking water as any other animal would do, you know, and started. The basic concept was, you know, hey, if you have a dog or an animal in your charge and it was eating and drinking the things that we do in a day and using the chemicals that we do in a day, in a month's time, what would happen to that other animal? It would probably end up becoming sick because ultimately you're giving it things that it's not meant to deal with. So it's probably going to possibly even create new problems and definitely not help you. So I really started taking this seriously and saying, okay, well, now I'm going to drink water. And that's it. I'm going to focus on food and nutrition and really, really feed my cells. And I thought it was odd that when I would go to the doctors, they wouldn't help me with this information. And I thought it was valuable. So I just started focusing on eating correctly, drinking water, and eliminating a lot of the other stuff, fasting, and eliminating how much my body is working, giving it time to rest, detoxifying. You know, I met my wife during this battle, and she helped to remind me the importance of detoxifying, that you're also filled with this stuff. So as you are putting good stuff in your body, you want to still purge that bad stuff out so you continue to streamline that body and basically get it to where you're not adding anything to what you're dealing with. You're just cleaning up the body and basically cutting down the amount of fights your body has to fight so that its resources can focus on what it really needs to focus on. And that seemed to be my turning point.
That's awesome. That's exactly what, you know, we believe has to be done. You know, you have to attack it in that way. You have to allow the body time to detox, time to purge autophagy, you know, get rid of those cells that are dead or deceased. And those are the first ones that get broken down when we do fasting, both intermittent and prolonged fasting. And then again, flooding the cells with nutrients. That's the other thing. Then it's what you take in. You know, and if you're listening to them, you know, the professionals, they'll recommend things that the number one ingredient, it's high fructose corn syrup. And that's just insanity.
It blew me away. And if I get emotional, I'm sorry, but it blew me away that no matter who I asked in the medical world about nutrition, they didn't care. They didn't value it. No one really, they did think I was crazy that I would take this route. But I thought it was crazy that they didn't help with more information to help me expand on this idea of nutrition so I could get better. I can't believe it felt like I was fighting the doctors with this. And that scares me because that tells me that a lot of us out there fighting illnesses, this is one of our biggest battles. And that's, I'm sorry to say, the doctors and the lack of information they have to help us to nourish the body and to truly create a body that can fight.
Yeah, the amount of time that they're given to study and go deep on nutrition is just so minuscule compared to understanding everything going on with the big, you know, PHARMA, understanding they even have quotas that they have to hit. And it's crazy. The reps that work for these big companies can make insane amounts of money. And again, and I've seen it, because I've been in that industry too, the whining, the dining, all the different things that you could accrue. It's all basically, it's part of the way the system runs, part of the massive profits that we see, and it's really at the expense of the things that don't cost a lot of money that really will make a difference, such as like what you said, stop buying the soda pop and just drink, distilled water, add some minerals to it. There you go. Herbal teas, keep you nice and alkaline, eliminate the simple sugars, give yourself organic food instead of taking in more pesticides, things like Roundup. It's really no brainer, but they don't give us that info.
Well, and it's interesting. It's sad because knowing or understanding that because Mother Nature cannot be proven in a laboratory, and you can't put a patent on Mother Nature, ultimately takes it out of the doctor's hands. They can't use this as a tool because they can only use what can be proven in a laboratory. And so since nutrition technically can't be proven in a laboratory, this isn't something that's basically on their menu. And it's not something that they're truly taught about. I'm guessing that a long time ago when doctors started out, they believed in the power of nutrition. I mean, Hippocrates started it all. I mean, he knew the power of nutrition. And what happened?
Right? Let thy food be thy medicine.
Correct. At the very basis of the doctors, and they don't even teach it anymore. And they're not even, and that seems like such an amazing and powerful tool that was taken out of our hands. And people need to know that that's absolutely correct. You can use nutrition just as he said. First, don't do any more harm. Cut down the amount of issues you're forcing your body to go with. When you get done with chemo, don't go to McDonald's. I watch that happen all the time, and I'm saying, guys, do you want to end up right back here? No. Eat right. Take care of your body, and the doctors should just be hammering that into our system. Eat better, drink better, take care of your body. They don't. And it works. It works.
So on a daily basis, were you doing a lot of intermittent fasting? Were you doing juicing?
I do a lot. I definitely do a lot of fasting. So I do most of my morning. I start out my morning immediately. First thing I do when I wake up is drink about 40 ounces of water right away. Go to the laboratory, do my thing, and then I basically only drink water up until about noon. I'm really trying to pull anything out of the body that I can, and then about noon, yes, then I would start juicing. I would start adding in the food at that time, and I would try to keep it to an hour's window. And that way I could spend yet the next 6 hours or so not eating. I would do some water here and there, not as much because I don't want to pull out that any of the nutrition I just put in. So I would ultimately just try to relax, let the body absorb that food, and then at night, or not at night, but right around 6 to 7 o'clock, I would have another juice, have another meal, and try to give myself a few hours to go before I went to sleep, so I wasn't getting up at night to use the restroom, and that my body could get a full night's sleep, and then I would start it back over again in the morning.
So you would eat in about a 6 to 7 hour window typically?
Correct.
Yeah, so you're giving yourself a good 17, 18 hours of fasting. In that range, that's super healthy. That allows the body to detox, to purge. Were you worrying about how many calories you were taking in, or did you find that your body just kind of adjusted?
My body, I trusted that my body would adjust. I would watch and see how it would do when I would do tests with the doctors. The only time I truly used the doctors was to go in to get the tests that I needed so I could see what was going on with my CMP, so I could see exactly where my nutrient levels lie. So I would monitor my nutritional level through my labs, and I would do that. So that way, if I was deficient in any areas, I would add food according to that area. So I would just watch my levels, watch my body, trust my energy, and I just had faith.
Yeah, another thing that you mentioned earlier, it just perks my ears up, and you're talking about the life force. Again, that's something that people just, on the whole, in the Western society, you don't think about life force. You're thinking about, well, what are my macros? What are my micros? Maybe, hopefully. But you're not thinking about how much chi is in there, how much life force, prana.
Correct.
And that's so key. That's so key. So again, raw veggies and fruits, again, we're taking in enzymes, we're taking in life force. We need enzymes from live raw food in order to properly digest.
I mean, what animal in the past ever cooked its food? And that takes nutrients out of that food. And you're so right. Since this started, I obviously learned to grow, to be a gardener. I started very small, using herbs, and really focusing on getting, it is just adding through, and I would try to, as soon as I go get some oregano, and I pull it off the plant and eat it immediately, or I make my juice immediately, so that way I can get as much life force out of that food as possible. I didn't get it from the grocery store, coming thousands of miles, and who knows how it was. I would grow it, and then I would feed it immediately off the vine and trying to get it as max nutrition possible out of that living plant source.
I love what you're talking about there. That's the way it's supposed to be. And Cindy, she's not a huge salad eater, but when we buy like living lettuce, or her aunts have a massive hydroponic system at their place up in Idaho. And my God, that lettuce, when it's live, it's just like so extra good that it's no problem getting her eat a huge salad.
It's very much like eating flower petals.
Yeah, it's just wonderful, and you could feel it. You could actually feel your cells tingling, saying, yeah, this is what we want.
And I love, what you just said is incredible, because you are so right. The energy that I would get out of food was so awesome. It felt like something is truly happening for the positive versus the chemo, which just drained me the opposite direction. And it's a lot more simple than people think. I mean, stuff like lettuce, you mentioned, you can grow that in just a pot, and you could be living in an apartment. You may not have a big yard, but you don't have to have full ground. You can grow stuff like that in a pot. Same thing with herbs, the oreganos, the thymes, rosemary, basil. All of these things can be done in a small footprint, so you can still grow your food even if you don't have a farm to work with. You can start small and then grow as you have the opportunity, or go vertical. I mean, it's not super difficult to get started growing live food.
Yeah, it's all the difference in the world, the live food. And I'm in agreement with you, because I've varied my calorie intake, and I found that my body finds just a point of homeostasis no matter what the calories are. It's not like you're necessarily wasting away if you're taking in the right things.
Correct.
Yeah, if your one meal a day is a Big Mac or a Happy Meal or something like that, or things are not going to go well. But when you're talking like, say, a massive salad that has like 10 different ingredients in it, or a juice that's coming from, again, like 6 or 7 different veggies and maybe some fruit in there, and if you support that with a little bit of turmeric or things along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and peppermint. Peppermint's another incredible thing, especially for folks like us that have to deal with pain management as well, because of all the things that our body's being put through, and peppermint is one incredible source for helping the body deal with pain. And again, it's something that is easy to grow. Once you start it, it wants to grow very, very fast, and that's such an amazing gift too for the body.
I never knew that about peppermint, and that is such a good thing to know, because it makes me want to go I know that peppermint, once it takes root, it does grow really, really well. But that's a really good thing to know. Something as simple as peppermint.
Yeah, it has a lot of other uses too.
Yeah, and there's some fun forms. You got peppermint, you got spearmint, you got one of these. You even got a really fun one called chocolate mint. And I wouldn't have known any of this stuff if it wasn't for my cancer battle. Taught me to start focusing nutrition, and now I'm finding some really fun foods to work with. And so, even as the food shortage is going on right now, hey, cool. That's okay with me because I have been adding to the backyard, adding to my food supply, and having a fun time doing so, and learning and discovering so many new variations of foods that I just never knew about.
Mm-hmm.
You had touched on the fact that the treatments are very, very expensive. And
yes.
You had touched on, declaring bankruptcy and going through financial hardship. And, eventually that really turned around for you in the opposite direction.
I'm getting goosebumps as you say that. It's just hard to believe that happened. But yeah, I went from having my parents were paying for me to stay alive, helping me through the treatments. I had one shot they wanted me to give myself called Bitchute. It was $2,500 a shot. I had to do it 2 times a day. I was just getting bled of money, and then eventually, yes, I had to declare bankruptcy and just nothing. And now, all of a sudden, ever since then, as I've gotten healthier, my financial fortunes have turned, and all of a sudden now I find myself in a situation where I have more resources than I ever had before this happened. And so I've done a complete 180. Now I get to use that money that I've been blessed with to help others, not just myself. So it's as if they gave me this cancer because they knew with the resources that I wouldn't hoard it. I would go out there and use it to help others. And it seems like the universe just keeps pouring on these blessings. And I can't believe how I financially succeeded in the last 7 years. I'm still, as you can tell, speechless in the internal events. It's just incredible.
Well, this is the power of living a higher self life.
Mm-hmm.
So, you've tapped into that and you're paying it forward. And you have real gratitude and thankfulness. You could tell that every single day you take as a miracle, and that energy is just vibrating out of you. And so you're doing for others. And we feel that. Cindy and I feel that. That's why we loved you, like, right off the bat. We were like, here is a special person that totally gets it.
Oh, absolutely. And what I just love so much is you have discovered how to love yourself. And it's from that love all of this stems. And it took an enormous amount of love for yourself to step out of that box, to step out of those supposedly safe parameters where they said, oh, here, we'll keep you, we'll take care of you. But you loved yourself enough to say, no, I can do better. Watch me. And that just gives me chills.
Thank you, Cindy. Thank you. I honestly don't even know how I did it. I had no hope. Having to tell my brother that he's been designated as the person to pull the plug, that was not a conversation I was looking forward to ever having in my life. My parents having to bury a son. I was a single person as well at the time. I had no hope. I can't believe I got hope after that fact. I'm still blown away that I was able to turn it around and to get hope back.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And again, that's being in perfect alignment and following through with the higher self's purpose for this particular life. So I have to ask you, knowing what you now know, did you feel like you had to do the chemo and you would do it again because that's what brought you to kind of like a rock bottom point? Or do you feel like you probably would have recovered a lot quicker if you had never done that?
I believe at this point, knowing what I know, that if I hadn't done chemo, then things would have turned for me a lot sooner. I wouldn't have to work so hard trying to eliminate the problems created from chemo itself. Chemo never solved my cancer. What it did was give me a lot more things to fight. And that's what I spent most of my time fighting, was a lot of the issues created from chemo. So if I knew now what I know, I knew then what I know now, I would not have gone into chemo. I just didn't know any better then. And I guess that's, so now I there's no way. But at the same time, when I shook him, I said, no more chemo. This obviously isn't the solution that works. But it took the battle to find out, to figure that out, unfortunately. But I think, again, that's why I got to go through this, because this way other people can see through me that, guess what? You didn't need chemo. They gave me a ticking time. I was done. They wanted me to still do this stuff. Well, I said no, and it worked. I proved them wrong. And I'm not the only one that can do this. I know there's a lot of people out there that are listening to this that don't think that they have the power within them, but I'm not that special. I'm just like them. Someone that was malfunctioning, but if they want to do what I did, they can. They just have to know that they can do it. Take that power into their own hands and take it, like I did. We have it in us.
We do. It's amazing. There is an innate ability in the body that I feel the modern system totally discounts, doesn't acknowledge at all. And unfortunately, it feels like so much of it's just simply about profits and control.
Yeah, absolutely is. And we're their guinea pig? I don't know if that's even the right term.
In many ways, we are. And, one other component to this, I was kind of curious with you. One other thing that's really important is our support group. And what if those around us are supporting us and they do believe in the chemo and they want us to go that route because they feel it's the safe route? But again, they're well-meaning. They love us. They're just afraid. How did that work in your life?
Well, a lot of them didn't like the fact that I told the doctors to stay away from me, that I wasn't going to let them do this anymore. They said, well, Jeff, you're not an expert. You don't know what you're doing. They do, and you shouldn't be thumbing your nose at the very people who can help you. And I just had to look at them and say, but they haven't helped me. Mm-hmm. They only made matters worse. So I guess, they thought I was crazy, but I just said, how many times do I run back to a system that doesn't have the answer? I gave them a couple of shots, and they couldn't fix it. Why would I keep giving them an opportunity? There's got to be a better way. And so it took a little bit of convincing, but I think as quick as I started to turn, people became very supportive around me, because they could see how, well, for one, I could start walking again, because at the time I couldn't even walk. So they could literally see me get up, start walking again, and they could see that my body was coming back to life. So they started to believe themselves, and they started to just support and encourage me. And basically say, hey, whatever you need to make this happen, we're behind you. And whatever, books I needed, they would buy them for me. I wanted to go see someone that was going to talk to me about nutrition. They would help me, because, again, I didn't have money anymore. So they became very supportive of me, and it really, really helped. Probably what helped give me that courage and to give me that hope, to know that I wasn't fighting this battle all by myself.
So I just love it when we find out our strength lies in our moments that we're just really down and out. Then we realize how strong we actually are, and that strength moves. We pay that forward to other people and say, look, this is where I was. This is where I have been. We're no different. You can do this too. And giving other people that
Right.
strength is such a gift. Thank you.
My pleasure. I mean, I know a lot of people around me say it's crazy when I tell them that it's my pleasure to have this cancer, but it really is. It has changed my life for the positive. It's been a great thing. My life is better today than it was before cancer. And to know that because of that I can help others become the same, and instead of feeling defeated, this really has become my greatest gift, is cancer. As crazy as that sounds.
Yeah, that is, but I understand it, because it's through the healing crisis that we change ourselves, as I've shared my own story, and we've shared some of Cindy's story too, because often healing crises bring about changes in the person so that they become the healer for others to discover their own innate abilities that are within them, that they don't need to tap into anything but themselves, their higher self, and that natural healing system that's just automatically put in us by Mother Nature.
You're exactly. I mean, I got a chance to share this with a gentleman who found my story. He was in Stanford. They were failing, and they didn't have any options. He also was stuck in isolation for a very long time, and he didn't know how to get out of it. And he heard about me, and I got a chance to work with him. And to fast forward today, he is, of course, out of his situation. He is now like me, helping others get out of their medical situation, all because I was able to share with him, and he was able to use it as well. So we have yet another fighter out there that's helping to spread the word, and now we get to continue to, like you said, pass along from one, I hate to say, patient to the next, but one person to the next, and it's kind of our way of going about it, since the doctor's not going to tell us about it. We're all just going to start banding together and helping somebody else become the next person to help another person, and hopefully that'll just keep spreading with the help of you guys and others like you who are trying to get out there and let people know that they're not alone if they want to go fight this a different way.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well, it's one thing to basically trust in an expert, and it's another when the trust is maybe not completely justified because they just don't have enough knowledge of some alternatives, which are actually the ancient ways of doing things that have been around for thousands and thousands of years.
That's right.
It's so sad, but that's the reality that we have, before us.
Well, it really is sad. The neat thing about the technology now with the internet is now we can go out there and find that this information is out there, that this really does help. I was able to go to other countries where they still believe in the power of the nutrition, and so I was able to learn from them in spite of the fact that it's not being taught here. And because I was able to seek it out on the internet and find out that this is a possible path, there's countries all over the world that believe that food, it starts with food, it starts with your body, it starts with the earth, it starts with everything that we've had, and there are people putting it to work. Not so much here in America, where PHARMI is unfortunately the dominating factor, but there's actually a lot of countries out there that they know that this is the best way to go about arming your body. And it's not a lost secret, just maybe in this country.
Yeah, it is. And by the way, it's like 3 years in a row, the life expectancy has decreased.
Yeah.
And of course, the healthcare system is one of the most, if not the most, expensive at the same time. And that's just big stats that they're just right there.
The profit keeps going up every single year, more and more. They're making more money, and people need to realize that if they're making more money off of us, then their way isn't working. At least not for us. It's working for them.
Yes.
It's not working for us, or that number would be changing. I mean, the imagine if the doctors were responsible for our medical bills. I'm guessing that their information would change. But until that happens, and they just keep making more and more money off of our misery, if you might say, it's going to be hard for that trend to change.
Very true. Well, thanks so much for sharing your story. You're very inspirational, and it does seem like every time we talk to you or take a look at a photo, you're getting younger.
It does.
Thank you. It's incredible. I feel so great. I feel so awesome. I can't believe the vibrancy in my life. I didn't have this beforehand, so this is definitely a powerful tool that we all have. So if anybody out there's listening, and they want to try this for themselves, there's amazing days to follow.
There is, most definitely. And we're so happy that you've been able to share this with us and, share hope with others out there, because that really has to get out there, that there are alternatives out there. You don't have to just blindly trust. You can do your own research, get out there and do your research, and, maybe invest in a few good books before the grid goes down.
Yeah.
On things like this, or before the info gets purged, because, most definitely, those things are going on as well. So thanks so much, Jeff, and thank everybody out there for their support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. We couldn't do it without you guys. Check out Medicinal Foods too. There's a link on our videos now that can help you as well supplement things. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.